So Google, Facebook, Twitter, we're okay. We shouldn't have to police any of the content. We're immune from it. You can't sue us. But we're definitely going to go after the Federalist for a comment section they're supposed to police. Here was a tweet yesterday by NBC's fake news outlet and an alleged reporter who works there. I say alleged reporter because I'm not sure what kind of reporting this is. But she tweeted out yesterday she was very proud of the fact that they worked with some left-wing group looking to deplatform and demonetize conservative outlets. This Adele Mamako Frazier, forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong, it's not intentional. She says, new from NBC, thanks to the SF Fake News and CCD Hate for their hard work and collaboration. What is she talking about? She's talking about the demonetization of Zero Hedge and the Federalist. The Federalist and Zero Hedge, I'm on both of their email lists. The Federalist, I use their content all the time on the show. So this is hilarious. I mean, hilarious in the most tragic way. So just to be clear, NBC, the biggest fake news proponents out there, the employers of Moscow Maddow, Rachel Maddow, crazy Lawrence O'Donnell promoting Florida coronavirus conspiracy theories, Moscow Maddow, who told you collusion was real, remember that? And that Spygate was a hoax. NBC, the biggest unintentional comedy act on television, pretending to be journalists, are now working to make sure the Federalist, Molly Hemingway, Sean Davis, Margot Cleveland, you know, the writers who actually got the whole Spygate story, right? They're working to have them demonetized by Google. Because what's the allegation? If you're scratching your head right now like this can't possibly be true, this story's not a joke. This is not my Babylon Bee or The Onion segment. This is not satire. This is really happening. Fake News NBC, through this lady, Miss Frazier here, is working with a left-wing group to make sure the Federalist and their website can't make any money from Google ads. This is happening. The story's since been rewritten 3 or 4 times. Google's now saying, no, we basically just threatened the Federalists. Now, what is this about? Again, now you'll see why I took an ownership interest in Parler, to get away from these lunatics. So what happened was the Federalist must have had an article up and some comments were, the comments section. You ever go to like a newspaper outlet that you can write comments? So apparently Google's saying, hey, listen, there were some comments in the comments section that are inappropriate, so we're going to take away all your revenue from your website on Google Ads. Really? That's what you're going to do? Now Google's saying, no, we just threatened the Federalist with that. Well, let's check out Google's actual tweets because Google PR, you really need to hire a new PR person. I'm really sorry. So here's authentic blue check mark tweets from Google Communications. The Federalist was never demonetized. We work with them to address issues on their site related to the comments section. Our policies do not allow ads to run against dangerous or derogatory content, which includes comments on sites. We offer guidance and best practices to publishers on how to comply. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Now, the brilliant Paula brought up an interesting point this morning. She said, in their terms of service, because we're not fake news like NBC. We're going to give you the truth. She said, in their terms of service, when you sign up, because we have Google, you can't get away from them. I wish you could. I mean, Google, YouTube, you can't get away from them. I have to get the message out. You don't have a choice. It's the new town square. But we can fight against them. And I'm not going to shy away. I don't care what they do to my show on YouTube or anywhere else. Don't care one bit. We're going to put the truth out, and I appreciate you watching. But Paula did indicate to me that in the terms of service, there are certain conditions about the comments. But I argued back to her, and I'll argue to you, because this is going to be their fallback. It's always their fallback. Google, Twitter, Facebook, all of them. Hey, it's in the terms of service. Line 672, subsection A, subsection 1, subsection 1.263. You didn't read that? You may say, well, Dan, we have not. That's not the question. The question is not, is it in the terms of service? The question is, why are the terms of service only applicable to conservative websites like the Federalist? That's the question. Because then they're not terms of service. They're weapons to be wielded only against your ideological opponents when you're a tech tyrant that doesn't like conservative content. to be selectively enforced to enforce an ideology, not to enforce the terms of service. I gave Paul an example. How would you feel if a restaurant was doing temperature checks on the way in, right? And said, this is our policy. If your temperature is 100 or above, you can't come in. And that temperature lets in all of the white people, white men and women, lets them in, even though they have temperatures of 100 or 101. And yet when a male black shows up they don't like, and his temperature is 101, they say, you can't come in. Look, it's in our terms of service. We didn't do anything wrong. We're not serving anyone above. Well, that's not true. Now you may say, my gosh, Dan, why bring identity politics into this? Because this is exactly what the left does to us. And then when you turn it around on them and describe, they don't like that. Maybe that example will ring their bell. Those are not terms of service. That's a racist policy you enacted in order to keep a black man out of your restaurant because you let everybody else in. That's exactly on the terms of service side. Although not identity politics, this is ideological politics. That's exactly what they're doing. The terms of service are not the argument. It's that they're selectively enforced. Now, what's fascinating about this too are the tech tyrants who have almost blanket immunity, I should say. Well, precision matters. You can't have almost blanket. They have near immunity on the content on their websites. Remember, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. I can't talk about this enough. I'm going to put up a tweet by an FCC commissioner, Brendan Carr, who knows more about this than anyone. He's one of the FCC commissioners, Federal Communications Commission. Nobody knows more about it than this guy. He put a tweet out there bringing up an interesting point. Google is preserved from lawsuits about the stuff on websites. So if I go to a website, whatever, joeybagadonuts.com, and on that website is some threats or terrorism threats or whatever, Google cannot be sued even though that website is searchable through google.com. They can't be sued because under Section 230, they are immune from what's on there because they're saying we're just a platform. We're not a publisher. We don't decide what's on those websites. We're just basically a platform for those websites to be out there. So they're nearly immune from lawsuits. So that's an interesting point, Joe. So Google is saying we're immune from lawsuits and we shouldn't have to police the content. Follow me, Joe, because we're just a platform. We're not a publisher. We're not policing it. We're not publishing it. We're not making editorial decisions. We shouldn't be responsible for policing our content. But you, the Federalists, are directly responsible for policing the comment section of a site? Just to be clear. That's your point? So Google, Facebook, Twitter, we're okay. We shouldn't have to police any of the content. We're immune from it. You can't sue us. But we're definitely going to go after the Federalists for a comment section they're supposed to police. Hat tip Brendan Carr. Here's some of his comments. Let me read off here. Again, an FCC commissioner who seems to understand how this is not going to end well for Google. He says, big tech has long argued it needs Section 230's unique set of liability protections because websites simply couldn't operate if they were held liable for comments or user-generated posts. That's big tech's argument. He says, well, not so now, according to Google's own ad policy. Google's now holding the Federalists responsible for comments and user-generated posts, and Google will be demonetizing the website as a result. They're threatening to now, just to be clear. Google has no problem treating the Federalist as a publisher of comments and user-generated posts on the website for the purposes of Google's own ad policy, yet Google expends significant resources to protect its own platforms from that type of treatment under 230. Defend that one, Libs. I love how they tie themselves into pretzels trying to defend that. No, it's legitimate. The terms of service. Yeah, sure it is. Can you tell me, please, a liberal website, a prominent liberal website, like the Federalist, that's a prominent conservative website? Can you tell me a counterparty liberal website of the same significance as the Federalist that has been knocked for their comment section by Google? Can you tell? We'll wait. We can wait here all day. Of course you can. Paula said, well, Dan, we should, you're going to have to find a comment. I said to her, are you seriously suggesting if you go to the comment section on a liberal website, you're not going to see insane, like, get Trump, rip him out of the White House? You'll see insanity on there. But no, they're allowed to make the revenue all they want.
You just heard Dan Bongino.